Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to review A Place in the Sun from 1951, directed by George Stevens. And in this movie Montgomery Clift plays this young poor man called George Eastman, and he gets a job because he knows his uncle, who's a more wealthy man, and through the job he meets a young woman and falls in love with her, and ends up becoming pregnant, or the girl becomes pregnant. But then, of course, he also falls in love with Elizabeth Taylor's character, and that starts to make things complicated, because what does he have to do now all of a sudden? And this is an interesting film from the 50s, you know. I sort of feel like it's a mixture of being a melodrama and a thriller. You know, it has this, it starts off with quick time jumps. You have to establish, you know, Montgomery Clift's first love relationship to Shelley Winter's character, you know, the ones who get pregnant. And that is perhaps a small issue I have with it, is like it goes a bit too fast in the beginning, to where I really get a sense of their I don't really get a sense of their relationship. And the same can be said a bit about Elizabeth Taylor's relationship to Montgomery Clift, because when he meets her, or they start talking to each other, you know, they have really great chemistry and they are very good actors. But I still sort of feel it lacks a bit nuance in their relationship. They really express how much they love each other, but I never really get a sense of their love, if that makes sense. So I feel like it has something where I feel like perhaps a TV series would have been better if it was made, for example, today, because in some ways it's quite modern. You know, I quite like the way that it sort of depicts sort of the spirit of youth. You know, all these actors are very young at this time, and it's really a movie about youth in a way. You know, about the difficulties of being a young man or woman back then if you were poor, and also the idea of, you know, what will this man do if he finds a woman in the society in a bit of upper class like Elizabeth Taylor. What will happen then? And what I admire about this film is the ambiguity. And now I'm going to spoil something about this film, in case if you haven't watched this. There is an ambiguity towards the end if he really kills Shelley Winter's character or not. You know, he has thoughts about killing her because he doesn't really know what to do, and he takes her on this trip on a boat, and there's some very good suspense scenes there, and you really feel the conflict inside him. But you never really truly know what happened on the boat, and that I quite like. And there's some really good scenes there. I do sometimes feel like the courtroom near the end is a bit too over the top. It is, again, they have to go over it very fast, and it has to be very dramatic. And in some ways, I also feel the film is too long. So it has this weird sense that it's. I feel there could have been more development on some aspects, and yet I feel it's too long. But I think it's a film that is worth watching, and I really would just recommend it for, you know, the actors, because I have always loved Montgomery Clift, and I think he's very great. You always feel that inner conflict in him. You see the suffering, and he was such a great actor to express something just with his eyes, and he doesn't really use that much mimic, but you can feel the pain in him. And even though he's a good-looking man, you really feel he's tormented, you know. Elizabeth Taylor, who was very young at the time, she's also incredible, I feel. She's really, really beautiful in this film, and you can definitely understand, you know, the attraction between them. And again, Shelley Winters, also a great actress. You also feel that you can almost feel the poverty that she lives in. So that is my thoughts on this film. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments if you have watched A Place in the Sun, and I hope you will all have a very nice day. Bye.